Hey, I'm Jon Thelen. Today on Fish Head, we're gonna put an afternoon in out on Lake Winnebagosh, and I'll tell you what, there's a lot of walleyes in this lake. When it really comes down to it, this is one of the best fisheries in Minnesota, and this is the right time to be here, man. It's spring. These fish are just coming off the spawn. They're hungry and they're aggressive. And we're gonna do some jigging for them. So stay right where you're at. We're gonna show you exactly how to do this. Fish Head's coming up. There we go. It's a pretty good one, bud. Better grab that net. This one will work. This will be a good way to start our day right here. Oh yeah, it's a good eye. Look at that one. Oh yeah. All right, got it. We'll take him.
Nice
Perfect.
Fish.
Look at that fish. This is exactly what we're talking about, though. I mean, this is gonna be fun today. Lake Winnebagosh is just loaded with walleyes, and you know, it's like any other lake that's, you know, recently this lake's been, look at that, barely had them. This lake's recently been designated as having some zebra mussels in it, and it's changed the bite a little bit. Fish like that, they'll still bite. I mean, there's still plenty of them, but I'll tell you what, as you get into these lakes that have these different scenarios going on with the invasive species and zebra mussels, and what happens is when the zebra mussels first get into bodies of water, they really clear the water up. So one of the things that you want to do is understand right away that you got to fish different in clear water, right? I mean, it's not as simple as fishing like it might be in dirty water. So one of the things you'll notice we're doing today is we're jigging in 12 to 14 feet, somewhere in that neighborhood. But in the past, I might have been able to jig a lot more vertical than we are today. We're actually getting back a little ways and working it from back, you know, away from the boat a little bit. And that's just because this water is so clear. So one of the things you want to do, and I don't care if it's here, Mille Lacs Lake, I've seen it on my home body of water over the years. I've had to fish differently, get away from the boat a little bit, especially on sunny days when there's shadows down there, and it'll make a big difference. But that's a great start. We'll talk about more how to catch them out here as we go. But one of the things we're doing today, and I think this makes a huge difference in jigging, is recognizing, you know, how active the fish are. And right now, the water's still pretty cold. These fish aren't super active yet. And if you watch how we're jigging, neither Steve or I are jigging very aggressively at all. I mean, we're just, every now and then we're just pulling it forward. We're just kind of pulling it along, holding it above the bottom, pulling it forward, but there's no such thing as that snapping or ripping. We're not to that time of the year yet. The fish just aren't ready for that. They're not ready to chase. Now, they're not far away. I mean, pretty soon this water will warm up, and these fish, they'll be willing to go after that aggressive approach. But right now, the best thing you can do when you got water temps in the high 50s, low 60s is actually just be really subtle with that jig. Use that jig more as weight to get that bait down there, something to add a little bit of color. But don't worry so much about snapping it and working it super hard, because a lot of times that can be detrimental when the water's this cold yet.
Hey, be there, baby.
Yeah, I'm going.
Yep.
That's the one we just saw, isn't it?
Yep.
You can tell, you know, you get better fish up there on the graph, and you can tell the difference between the perch and the walleyes. That's a good eye right there, a good eater fish, huh? Look at that.
All that.
Good job, buddy. I'm gonna pull him out of there and take care of him for you even, because I got the pliers right here. You know, I think the other thing that's cool about this time of the year, we got that guy in the edge of the gill. He's just 13-incher, but I think we'll throw him in just because I don't know if he'll make it. Being we got him in that gill. But I think the other thing that's really cool about this time of the year too is the fact fish like that one are mixed in with fish like that first one we got. Right. You know, I mean, you get a huge variety of size of fish because there's still some females that are lingering around here, and yet there's males that were in here for the spawn. And it's pretty automatic. I mean, you look around and you'll see other boats out here today because we're all fishing a real similar deal. There's just a lot of fish right in this stuff, and it's because they spawned right along all this stuff. And now what's gone on is they've just slid out to this little flat. And along this flat, there's little clumps of weeds, there's sand, there's muck off the edges, there's probably even some scattered rock. And you know what? That holds fish at this time of the year. I mean, they'll just pile in here. And really, we're to a point now where we've kind of got it dialed in back up here. There's a little stretch here where we're getting fish every time we go through it. And that's the other thing you want to keep in mind is when you find one of those stretches, keep turning around and going right back through it. We're just going to pull up right now and drive right back up. But I think one of the things that happens is you get too engulfed in that long pass and you spend a lot of time in areas where there's no fish. When you get it figured out that you might have a 2-block stretch up here that's got fish in it, just keep going back to it and going through it again and again. Let's run back up. Get another one here.
Yeah.
Ooh, that looks like a better fish, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah, not bad.
They're all good, aren't they?
They are.
Oh, good one. Good job.
Oh ho!
Got him at the last second. Another good eater fish. Man, there's just piles of these. Did you want to take home a limit today? Or?
I would, yeah.
All right, let's throw him in. Then, you know, we're using the Lindy Live Bait Jig today, and you've heard me talk about it a lot of times. I mean, it's my favorite jig to use. I mean, it's just an awesome jig. It's got that short shank hook, and it's razor sharp. It's got a wide gap, and I mean, I guess what matters to me in a jig, probably more than anything, is it a good quality hook? And you can count on that with both the Lindy jig and the Live Bait Jig. There's a couple other things about that jig, though, that I think are really cool as well.
Yeah, I mean, just a little bit ago, I busted a jig off, and it's a little windy out here, getting a little rougher, and you can tie it up pretty easy when there's no paint in the eye. Right,
when you don't get to dig that paint out of the eye, it just takes away one more thing that you don't got to worry about. And then you know how it is too. I mean, you're struggling to be able to see, well, when you've got no paint in that eye, it's easy to thread that thing on and tie it on. And there's just no reason you shouldn't have Lindy Live Bait Jigs in your jig box if you're a jig fisherman. Fish's leech is great, fish's crawlers, but I'll tell you what, I mean, we're fishing minnows today and it's just one after another. There he is. This is crazy. We drifted or trolling motored up and down this flat. This is another good one, bud. And you know, all of a sudden, we kind of, and this is, I guess this is, you know, when people talk about patterning fish, this is exactly what they're talking about. Two things might have happened here. One, some of these fish might just be starting to turn on. I mean, that could be part of this, right? But I think the other thing that's happening is we have patterned these fish to a point now where we drop waypoints. Every time I catch a fish, a lot of times, in fact, just a few minutes ago, I had one in the rod holder because I just walked up here and I pressed a button. I'm always putting waypoints down. And when you look at all these waypoints we've got put down now, all we're doing is fishing in between them. And once we narrowed it down to not making that mile-long pass or that half-mile-long pass, we got it down to a couple city blocks. Now what we've done is we've got it down to a couple weed clumps. I mean, right here, we're just sitting still now. So, you know, what we started with was kind of a search tactic, and then it was a dial it in, and now it's just catch. I mean, it's game on. And that's fun when you can do that. And you couldn't do that in the old days without the sonar units like we have. I mean, you threw a marker buoy here and there, but the reality of it is we know exactly why these fish are here because of that contour map, and we know exactly where they're at. Ooh, that feels like a pretty good one. I don't know, we've caught so many fish there. I mean, it's just one after another. and there's been, oh yeah, great
Better
eye.
one?
Yeah, really, really good one. No, you know, I mean, yeah, just another great fish. Look at that. Man, I'll tell you, I'm gonna talk about easy and fun fishing. Spring on Winnebagosh. I'll tell you what, you know, this lake's good at during more than just spring, but I'll tell you what, fish like that one, they're plentiful out here. Just make a few changes. Realize that there's zebra mussels out here. Maybe get a little further away from the boat. You know, fish natural colors with the cleaner water. And when you find fish, park on them. Just like this. Flats like this, they're loaded with fish. Doesn't matter how many boats are around. They're loaded with fish and they're biting. That's awesome right there. What a great way to wrap up the day.